Okay, I'm welcome to the circus. I'm Johnny, aligned with me for the good of the colony. I feel like I was going to talk about this. I do. This applies for capitalism. So this I'm talking about this for the capitalism and the gift that it must have provided for us that we're having now and what we want to take from the absolute bullshit that capitalism has been. We've always had patriarchy for a very long time, which is like a lot of civilizations were patriarchy for a very, very long time. A lot of them, especially colonialism for the British, the American, the Spanish, the Chinese. They would have a lot of colonialism, and I say for the good of the colony for goddamn bees. Um, Colonialism that you're thinking that is bad, I would call that as German roaches. Those bitches is what we're talking about, the colonialism that we've seen on Earth. That's German roaches. It's not the same for bees. Bees want for the good of the colony, not for overrunning absolute bullshit. They're just there for the good shit. Just honey, just pollinating, helping the entire planet. That's what we want for the good of the colony for all our people. I think that the gifts that we've gotten from capitalism, um, so if you're looking at the simulation theory, that ultimately we have the um, simulation theory looks more like you and your individual life amongst the collective for the way the whole game is for. So it's almost like a server for a bunch of people playing the same stuff, like I don't know, World of Warcraft. I don't fucking know. And Civilization. I never played Civilization, but I understand the theory. That's probably what we're dealing with. Everything that we're doing as people. So you got your individual life amongst civilization. So, as a collective of souls and humans, probably the souls is why we've had the way things are. That we're like, okay, we'll have iterations based on this bullshit as we learn to do all this stuff. Inventions going on and on for the things that we want to learn from this life. So we've had the patriarchy for a very long time so that we learned all this shit for all this time. Then we come up over here for the very last of here for the short capitalism where it's just boom, it's fucking horrible. It's rough. So you have this to put for an end for all of this based on absolutely capitalism to make us get to a point where we're like, actually, we don't even want patriarchy. Patriarchy has been horrible too. So we're ready when you get something as bad as capitalism that we have been ready at that point to let go of all those things that they've learned from the capitalism, from the patriarchy, that we've experienced that to move on to the next shift of the way things are as humans. So we really are going from patriarchy, capitalism, matriarchy. Matriarchy is straight up Mother Earth, bro. Get to it. It's the cycling of the whole planet, the way things are, of growth, of abundance, of the way things are going, and appreciating the way it is. It's a very Mother Earth for the matriarchy, where we say we're here for be to be the individual with the collective and the ecosystem of the entire planet, and that's what matriarchy is going to be. Right now, what we're going to deal with is truly the last hurrah. It's right fucking now that we're like, okay, this looks like horrible. You really have, we must have been, since patriarchy has gone so long, that, and if you believe in reincarnation, you have learned many or a few lives while in the patriarchy, that you are to learn things from a fucked up system, that we're ready to learn the balance as a collective, not always just the individual, but the collective, to be like, we don't need this in our civilization to move on into the other stuff. Especially the white ignorance. Let me see what I'm even doing with this. Oh, let me tell you about this. Um, that we all of the patriarchy has, along with the capitalism, has always been colonialism. It's very mostly the worst of them has always been whiteness, the white ignorance, the white supremacy. That shit has been the worst. We've had, since they've had so long to continue from all the bullshit of conquest, that a lot of people have had a lot of suffering based on all of that, especially people of color, obviously, the but also the white people. So people of color have suffered from whiteness, and whiteness has just also just created suffering amongst their own stuff, the same way that the billionaires just also maintain bullshit and suffering for themselves. It's the survival mode of conquest where you're just like, I will only be able to appreciate any, I only want things when I am winning. Winning doesn't work that way. It's just conquest, which means you're not even human. Um, and because of the way of the conquest has made all of these people of color, that they are like, hmm, they're both in a suffering and just different sides of the seesaw. That people of color, it has been survival mode, while the whiteness has been conquest, and both of them don't have the option to let go of it based on, oh, we want to live, and oh, we can't live without make people suffer. They don't have the option to grow stuff until they let go of that which they have been taught from straight up whiteness. That applies for people of color, the queers, femmes, disabilities, whatever I'm forgetting. It applies to that. For marginalization is amongst all of that. And with the capitalism, you're probably supposed to have something as the capitalistic gift, because what we learn is to understand what we've got from the suffering and the trauma and the abuse, is to understand what we have from that and move on from what that is. And there's not a time when you have this, um hmm, with, I don't officially know what the gift of the civilization has been, except for teaching and providing certain technology. We have learned that the technology is not always good, and it's not always the lasting thing that we will want for the next shift. But what I am getting to it feels like it is communication and logging, because what we've had, so everything comes with, oh, we have moved on, advanced all of our technology in life. I think that capitalism is based on communication and community. Community is not supposed to be only online, but I think it's mostly for you and your physical communication as well. I meant proximity, physical proximity amongst with others who are like, oh, we can do that. It's more of like bees, that you understand that there's people all over with the same type of bees. Like you have this one, okay, here's what this makes sense. So you got the bees that I just learned recently, that when they have too many bees, they have their queen, and then they also raise another queen. They split it. One moves on, one stays here, and then they move to that thing with the same idea of colonies. We're bees, we do the shit. So if we're doing that, you can, with what we have for our technology, because we're not the same way the bees do, right? But we have this where, like, these people are going to think the same way with the same mindset that we have, that the people will have the technology to understand from the way we're talking about. We know that people choose what they want to believe on their media for cognitive dissonance, but that also means that people with the same mindset of things, that it is cognitive resonance, also applies to probably what we have for our technology. The internet, first of all, we know that these were created by trans and cis women and women of color. So everything that we've had, almost all of our inventions, are from people of color and women. From all of this shit to learn all of these things from suffering from colonialism, patriarchy, capitalism, that is how we've gotten to this point of, oh, we have shit that's going to work. Um, and I think that is what we want to learn from all this shit. Absolute bullshit and suffering. And that is how we've had the resilience of people of color, queers, disabled people, for the ultimate, limitless ideas and growth. And I'll get into a whole other video also, because I want to talk about that too in a more long way, if I can. That ultimately, that's what we're learning for our civilization. Civilization, that we're moving because of the resilience of the people that have created an option for all of the people to enjoy, for the growth and the learning of absolute bullshit of capitalism. Sometimes when you have absolute shit, the way you learn shit from it is something you would never go without the absolute trauma. And that a lot of people will be like, I can't believe, what the fuck are you talking about? I know, it won't make sense until it makes sense when you get to it. The way it's going to be, it's the 250, it's the 80 year, for a certain amount of a generation and an empire, that we will move on. And sometimes that means an entire system that we straight up grow based on the advantage, the advance of certain things, like the Industrial Revolution, which is interesting because it's the reason why we got to capitalism in the first place. So we took all the suffering from all of this to learn how to resist from absolute bullshit to a point that we're ready for a new sense of life. That is the new wheel. You learn how to make a wheel for civilization. That is what we're doing for all of this. And shit, fuck. Um, mm, mm, uh, the hierarchy, and this is all over the place. I'm not sure how I'm feeling about it. Let me think. And I think that with the other thing about what we're learning about the resilience of conquest, abuse, propaganda, that we're going to learn how to balance that for the amount of things that's going on. That means that that with the way things are going. Hold on a second. Fuck. Let me replay. that the system that we move into, it is going to be better from what we've had right now, and it will mean that it will also break, because that is what we do as humans and as the civilizations that we have. Shit, I don't know enough about indigenous peoples and civilizations to understand what the problems that they have, because the thing that I know as a white person is exactly how this very, very drastic civilization that fucks it up, that I don't even know how to think on indigenous growth and suffering, because my people's has been done it the worst thing, huge amount that I don't even know that would apply for indigenous peoples. And indigenous peoples, like, feels like all of them have a very sense of nature. Like almost all of them is very connected with the earth, based on the very little knowledge that I have because of my heritage, that I don't know shit enough about that. And guess what? I could read books and I could connect with the natives, and I'm definitely down with that. So I'm just based on what I'm understanding right now. I think that, so what I mean by that is, even though it's not going to be as bad as what we have right now, because we had the whiteness has been always absolute bullshit, horrific stuff. That doesn't mean it's not possible to have sufferings or conflict within not natives, indigenous peoples. Then there would be. It's just because it was really bad for the way whites have been, that you're like, it can't be possible to even have conflicts. No, there's always going to be conflicts everywhere, every time. That To assume that this will be utopia. There is no utopia. There is only creating that which you want for the flow of the civilization as humans at the certain time that it has been. And as souls, collective in the cosmos, they did agree to the absolute bullshit white ignorance and absolute disgusting, um almost anti-human shit, right? That we kind of do have wanted this hierarchy to get to a point of this and that. And we will get also conflict when we move on to a much greater civilization. Then, and that's still going to have conflicts and things to fix, because maintenance is part of the existence as humans, to maintain and grow and have the cycle of. So, and I think that the point of all of this is to just straight up appreciating it. Almost all of it. Let me say this also, that with the matriarchy, so there will be souls or people, let's just say this as people. There will be humans who will not be part of the. Hmm, there will be people who are not to move on from the capitalism. There will always be people who are ahead of the way for the masses, um like we've did for Galileo, uh Copernicus, whatever. There's always been a person, mostly a man, for saying, oh, we're going to do this and that based on this, as a very resisted theorist, that people will be like, this sounds like bullshit. You will have that from that which will happen this time right now. I feel like we're much more expedited also from people who will be um uh to the masses will view you as absolute crazy, which they will assume that I'm crazy for the masses, until they'll see that my shit works, that, oh, guess what, we can be positive and we'll see the change. I think it's going to be much faster than they're anticipating, or that I'm thinking based on the technology. Then everything will be extremely fast comparative to They didn't understand about certain artists, certain theorists for like until they die, right? But I'm seeing this is going to be working while I'm in my 30s. So I will very much see the fruits of my theory than, or people others' theories than it would have been in the past. Uh, and that's why I think that those in the masses who are like, I don't believe that. I think they're on an um a fresher soul. I think I'm an older soul, as in I've had enough iterations to have learned all of these things that I might be at my last hurrah as a human on this one. That I'm like, oh, I'm totally topping off this game and then I'm good to go. So, and then I think the masses are still starting or in the middle of their iterations that then they move on for the next cycles because now that we know there always will be maintenance, there always be conflict, and the planet is not dying because we will maintain it, and that's what we're still doing on this until there's enough souls had there enough time for the game. And I'm just beating it, man. I'm just like I'm almost done. Like I'm almost kicking ass out of it. And that's what the live laugh love part of this for iteration and simulation theory is that a lot of people don't even know how to have all that type of stuff. Like they don't know how to grow usually, but it feels like when you grow at all, or if you grow early, which I am growing early right now, that I feel like it's the last of what I'm doing that I'm gonna have the fullest last whatever 50 years I got, that 50 plus years I got, like that's gonna be my I can't top this, like this is gonna be great. Look at this shit. That's my top. So I'll move on to whatever that means, where our souls go, and moving on to another whatever. I don't My soul might be able to die. It could be. Or it moves on to another planet, whatever the fuck. Which feels like I think there's a possibility that souls will choose to keep the same game, or there's souls who choose to learn and move on from it. Hmm. Which would say that if they're so based on a billionaire, you either have a billionaire who is a soul who chooses to be the villain and likes that game, or there's a soul who is like, I want to learn all of it. And you just start with evil and then you move on to learning how to heal until your last end. And they've grown all of it, which would mean that since I like to grow a lot, that it probably means that I've taken all these iterations based on learning step by step, baby steps for each iteration to learn all this type of stuff based on cores within your soul. So I probably did start with a villain and then learn all this. Oh, this actually, when I started as a very villain, or which would mean I'm a very rich person, or I'm a very evil person for beginning, to learn each time of my very many iterations that I then move on and heal over time based on these lives, that I get to the point that I've had enough, that I'm so much healed that I didn't even be an asshole very much already, and I'm just getting up and up. So I'm just growing up on all of that. And I think that's possible for, I don't know, I guess I wanted it because I'm not, it feels like I'm not I might go in one more iteration or not, but it feels like the technology is not what I wanted. Um And I think other souls did want to have all of these and seeing all the advance in technology. So it feels like I wanted more time for um the farming the farming, the things going on, the a lot of patriarchy, a lot of capitalism, all that shit before having the technology. So I guess I wanted more stuff with the dark ages, whatever. And then the people who have an younger souls, that they want to see the more technology that we have from that. It's just their style. Plus, that also might mean they want to be the villain every time, and they might want to try it on each civilization. So there's that. And that gift really will be the technology, the internet right now, that we will be able to communicate. And the same idea as our goddamn airplanes, that we have the access to communicate with people all over the planet. And that's what we get with our internet. And that's what we'll be able to do with, guess what? We don't have to hold the newspapers that they have, that ultimately the newspaper bullshit, like the media would choose to what you understand and what you can't, that we have this option of the internet to know shit, that they don't have to have the media from all of that. um that people will be able to choose what they want to learn from than it was in the past, which was papers, um, religions, governments that they would only tell you what you want to know, and then the capitalism is so that you can choose what you want to know, which is the extreme mm, cognitive dissonance, that people just choose what they want to know, and against or within that which the governmental beliefs and implements that they do. So people will say, I don't want to listen to what the government says, or people say, I do only want to listen to the governments, despite the internet having all the knowledge available, which was what I mean by logging, that people can just write shit down. The cloud is there, that everybody can write this shit, that everyone will have the option to learn all the shit at all and communicate to almost everybody. Based on what we know right now, the future is more of like resistance of the technology in a different way than you're expecting. It seems I don't like the internet. I don't like the technology the way we have. It feels like I'm an older soul who likes more of an earthy experience than it is for a sci-fi. Um, I don't know. I love video games, but it's not the same because now I'm resisting my phone and my computer and all of that. I'm like kind of wanting to make it very limited. That I even want to not keep my iPhone. That I want to have like actual dumb phones that they're saying now. That I was like, this doesn't make sense. I don't want to keep $30. I have a cheap plan and I don't even want to keep that. I like TV though. Anyway, that's our gift, so that all of our mothers, Mother Earth, a matriarchy, and especially people of color, indigenous, disability is going to be the the shift. And I will let you know about that in another video. Do I have time for it? I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, thank you for listening to my little TED talk. Experience your life, live with it, and appreciate the way things are, and see how it goes. This is the uneducated theorist who's just gonna tell you shit anyway. I'm a goddamn communist. I'm gonna be shadow banned for a while until the billionaires and regulations will change. So for now, please subscribe so that you know that, or what do you see? Hit that bell, because otherwise you're not going to see my shit. So Thank you for listening. I appreciate you. Go ahead and see on the next one, and I'll see you later.